In this video, we're focused on how NotebookLM can be incorporated into your Google Classroom for your students. So before we begin, let's go over the objectives for this video. First, we'll be able to navigate NotebookLM and create project-specific notebooks for your students. You'll be able to design Google Classroom assignments that explicitly incorporates NotebookLM as a scaffold for research and inquiry. Implement strategies to differentiate instruction by using the audio overview feature or study guides for varied reading levels. Model for students how to verify AI-generated claims against original source text, and establish clear classroom boundaries regarding academic integrity. Moving the focus from AI as an answer giver to AI as a thought partner. When you think of NotebookLM, think of it as a brain that you can upload all your material into. So you can upload PDFs, you can upload YouTube videos, URLs, and anything from your Google Drive. NotebookLM is contextualized AI. It answers you based only on the materials that you provide. So you can think of it as a personalized AI tutor for your documents and not the World Wide Web. Some key differences between NotebookLM for teachers and students. With teachers, you can quickly review student research sources, differentiate comprehension questions, create study guides and lesson outlines, and identify key themes across multiple readings. For students, they can go in and they can improve their research efficiency. They can develop stronger critical thinking skills by taking what they already know and going against what the AI gives it. They can organize complex information more easily, overcome reading comprehension challenges, and they can also combat plagiarism by working with their sources only and not from everywhere. Some key features of NotebookLM are your sources, which is where you will upload all of your content. So that's your articles, your PDFs, your transcripts from educational videos, anything that you can think of that you would like the AI to pull information from. This is where you would upload into your sources. The actual notebook is your blank canvas. So this is where you'll go in and ask your questions. You generate the summaries, brainstorm with the AI, have conversations with it just like you would with Gemini or ChatGPT. NotebookLM gives you some suggested actions. So it's always going to proactively suggest ways to interact with your sources. So it'll ask you to summarize your document or it will generate questions for you, but you don't have to always take those suggested actions. It's just giving you a start on how you can use it. And it also has citations. Every piece of information that NotebookLM provides is always cited back to the original sources. So this will teach your students academic integrity by showing them how to find those answers or where the AI pulled those answers from and how to always cite your sources. So now we're going to hop out of the presentation and go into a NotebookLM. To get to NotebookLM, you can type it in the URL box at the top, or you can come over to your waffle and scroll until you see it here in your favorites or below. This will bring up a list of all the notebooks that you have, all the notebooks that have been shared with you, and all the ones that you have created. If you click here on Create New, this is how you create your very first or your next NotebookLM. So if this is your very first one, this little pop-up will come up in the middle of your screen and you're able to upload those files and websites. And even you can even put in copied text now. So you can copy text from the web and put it in and it will make it a source for your notebook. So I'm going to upload a few files. Once you upload all of your sources or some of your sources, they'll be here on the left side of your page and Notebook will automatically give it a name based on the sources. If it has a common theme, then Notebook will give it a name, but you can always click right here and whatever, change it to whatever you would like it to be. Then here in the middle, this is your chat or the actual notebook itself. So this is where you have your number of sources. It'll tell you a quick overview of what all of the documents are about. And you can go in, copy the summary, or give it a review of a good or a bad summary after you go through and read what this summary says. And these are those suggestions. So Notebook will always give you suggestions of how to start interacting with it. So you can read these questions and choose one of them, or you can start typing your own question down at the bottom. So I'm going to just use one of these. Notebook goes in, it reads the question, and then it comes in with its answer. If you notice next to each one of these little sentences, you'll have a number. If you put your mouse over that number, it'll tell you which one of those documents over on the left side it is referring to. So here we have documents relating to it. It tells you the newspaper clipping and exactly where it pulled that information from. So it's also showing you and your students how it cites its information. So it always cites its sources. Come through and read the whole thing. And if you like this answer and you think that this answer should be used as one of your study guides, you can click right here and save it to a note. And now it's going to generate a note over on the side. I'm going to show you in a minute how this will go to your students. On the right side of your page, you can see that there is a studio. And with the studio, and when we integrate this with Google Classroom, you have access to create anything here in the studio, but your students do not. So if you go in and you click an audio overview, it'll generate this audio overview for your students to view, but they won't be able to generate anything for themselves. If you click on the pen right here, you can customize how your audio overview is. So you can take a deep dive. That's the default, is to do a deep dive, which will have two hosts unpacking and connecting topics through your sources. You can do a brief one, which will just be an overview of your sources. Critique, which will be an expert review of the sources, offering constructive feedback to help you improve your material. So if you want to see if those sources are good sources, put it on critique. And you can also do it as a debate, which will be a debate between the two hosts, which will illuminate the different perspectives on your sources. So you decide which type of audio overview you want. You can even go in and tell your AI host how to focus on the episode. So you don't have to just take what it gives you. You can go in and kind of guide that audio overview to what you want it to say. Same thing with the video overview. If you have the explainer, or you can do brief, and then you can choose the visual style. So you can choose what background or what type of style you want your video to have, and go in and type in what things you want your AI host to focus on and generate that. Mind maps is just going to take all of your sources and put it into a mind map. For reports, you can create your own type of report. You can create a briefing doc, a study guide, or a blog post. If I click on study guide, my study guide will be a quiz with an answer key plus the glossary. Right here is telling the AI what type of report you wanted to create, but of course, all of this is easily customizable. So you just highlight and take out what you want and add whatever you want at the end, and then click on generate. Flashcards, you can have the standard number of flashcards or have fewer or more, and you can also change your level of difficulty. And just like with everything else, you can come down and kind of guide those flashcards to create exactly what you want. For a quiz, same thing, number of questions, level of difficulty, and you can guide it, and you can custom make a quiz. I'm going to do a fewer number of questions and generate that. infographic, slide decks, and data tables. Same thing, you would just click on it, customize it to what you want, describe the slide deck to what you wanted to create, and you can even choose the language right here. Once the material is done, if you click on it, it will pop here like an app, and then the students can go through and just check their answers. If they get it wrong, it'll say not quite and show them what the right answer is. They can click explain, and over here in your chat, it will explain why this is the correct answer and why you got your answer incorrect. So this is a really powerful study tool for your students. If you click the three dots here, you can always rename any of these quizzes or flashcards or anything that you create in the studio. If you click rename, just go in and change the name of it. For certain ones, if you click on it, you can see that it can be exported to docs. So you don't have to share the notebook with the students for them to be able to see it. You can export it to docs or sheets, and it will create another a Google Doc based on the prompt that you gave it. And now to get this back to your students, there's a few ways that you can do it, but the easiest way and the way that this whole video is based on is to go through Google Classroom. So if I click on my plus here and go back to my Google Classroom, here in classwork, you can click create and come here and you can create a notebook based on your content that's in your Google Classroom, or you can click assignment and just upload one that is already created. So since this one is already created, I'll come here and say civil rights notebook. I can give my students any type of instructions that I want them to see, and then I will go in and click NotebookLM and select one that I already have. So here I go in, find that one, and if I wanted to copy and paste to a public notebook, I could do that too. And then I'll just click attach notebook. And now my students will have this notebook, but they won't be able to see all of this at the top. They will only see what I have generated. They will be able to check and uncheck any of the sources so that they can interact or ask questions only about specific sources. So if they only wanted to ask a question about this picture, they would check that picture off and they can ask whatever question they want to about that picture, come back to their sources and check off whatever else they want to. So over here on the side, they will have the ability to check and uncheck any of the sources. They'll have the ability to come in and type and ask any questions, and they will be able to see anything that you generate in your studio. And that's because up at the top, when you click on share, you can see that students only have access to view the chat and view sources and notes. If you wanted them to be able to be an editor to your notebook, you would have to add them in here as editors. But right now, of course, you don't want your students to have editor rights. You just want them to be able to go in and view your information that you pre-upload for them. You can see now that the audio overview is done and they have this little interaction mode so they can either play it and just listen,
So, I have to be totally honest with you before we jump in today. When I first
or they can press interactive and press play.
I have to be totally honest with you before we jump in today. When I first opened the folder for this deep dive, I genuinely thought maybe you had dragged and dropped the wrong files.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, I mean, it is complete mess in there. I'm looking at these crumbling yellowed PDFs of newspapers from colonial Boston in the 1760s, and then next to them, I've got police reports and a
And they can click this little join button at any time and ask a question.
news transcript from. Oh wait, someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
Who was the leader of the Black Panther Party?
That is a great question
Yeah, that is a question we are absolutely going to get to.
because that is right in the archive we have for the last part of our deep dive.
We are going to be diving into the Black Panther Party newspaper.
When we talk about the Black Panther,
So you see, it stopped and told me that it would answer that question eventually, and then it goes right back into their audio overview. So you can set this up so that your students will have that interactivity with the audio overview, and they can ask and be answered whatever question they have about those sources. And like I said before, you can also click on create and do a notebook LM based on your content that you already have. So it's going to pull up all of your classwork in your Google Classroom. You just click on the topic that you want to expand and click all of the different material that you would like to create in your notebook. So I have this material created. I'll just hit create notebook. It's really helpful if you have your Google Classroom set up in topics already. That way you can just click a topic, put all of that information into your notebook LM. It's going to read those sources and it's going to create it. You can give it a name and come back over here to your Google Classroom. You see that the untitled notebook is here. You can always go. It's going to change once you have the name changed in your notebook. You can highlight it at the top of the class, or you can just have it in its own little topic, whichever one you decide. You just give it a title, place it in a topic if you want it to be in a topic, or highlight it, or do both. You could place it in a topic and also highlight it at the top of the class so that your students know that you have a new notebook and you want them to go in and check some things out with it. So a few tips before you actually use this with your students, make sure that you model its use. Show your students how you use it, show them how they should use it and interact with it. Start small. Don't upload all of your materials into it. Start small. Let them interact with a few sources for one topic. See how it goes. And then you can go in and start adding in more things. Don't click everything in your studio right at once. Go through and let them test out the different activities in the studio. Emphasize that source credibility, so stress the importance of using reliable sources. Only put reliable sources into your notebooks that you let them use so that when they begin to create notebooks of their own, they know to only use those reliable sources. Prompt your students to evaluate those AI generated outputs and don't just accept them. Make sure that they know that they are always the human in the loop. AI is only a thought partner, it is not the answer. It will never just give you answers, it just gives you suggestions. So help you work through whatever question you have for it. Remind your students to always check the citations and go back to the original documents always to prove that the AI is correct, even though Notebook LM is much more safe than just using ChatGPT or Gemini is only going to use your sources, it still may not give you the correct answer. So make sure that you remind your students to check those citations and go back to those original documents to verify. Scaffold all of your assignments. Make sure that you provide those clear tasks that leverage Notebook LM's strength. Don't just click it and go. Make sure you go through and really, really, really refine those assignments. Give those students that need the extra help, give them that extra help. Provide clear instructions on how to use the quiz, on how to use the flashcards, and what do you want them to do with it after they are done. Here are some tips for integrating it with your Google Classroom. You can share a Notebook LM link directly in your classroom, like I showed you before, for them to access. Create assignments that require them to use your Notebook LM to answer specific questions or generate a summary of their own findings. Use those Notebook LM generated insights as prompts for class discussions or debates. So, this is where Notebook LM can really shine if you go in and let them ask their questions and get their summaries, and then you have that full class discussion to see if they really are synthesizing the information that they're getting from Notebook LM And you can also design entire units where NotebookLM is the central research hub for student projects. On this slide, there's a few tips and tricks for your classroom, different ways that you can use it with your students. One of my favorite ones is the differentiated instruction, but the collaborative research is also a really, really good one. And as always, make sure you critically examine AI tools and their outputs for potential bias. Never input sensitive data, even into NotebookLM, and assume there is absolutely no privacy.